What's up, everybody? We're at Cook's Lake. It's 12/29 of 2024. Possibly the last carp fishing trip of the year. Hadn't caught anything yet. Been here since 7 o'clock. It's 10:39 right now. But this is kind of a bittersweet fishing trip. I came down here. It's raining today, storming, nasty weather. Feels good though. It ain't cold. It's in the 60s, so it's not. Fish ain't biting yet. But anyway, just gonna do a little vlog, I guess, whatever it's called. Just video. I'm gonna walk around the lake while the rain's give me a little bit of a break. But I'm fishing right beside where the back down is, right there. It's a spot I like to fish. I'm here by myself, but I'm throwing all over the place. I've got one throwed up the lake, one down in the corner. I've got them everywhere, but it's okay. But this is the spot Skyla, my daughter, she's got the biggest fish for the year so far. And if I don't catch one today bigger than hers, then she's gonna beat me. But we're gonna go for it though. We're trying. We got big fish bait, I guess. I got oats again. But she I can't remember what hers was. It's 22.8, something like that, 22.7. I can't remember. She got it right here back in the summertime. And she had to show me up. It's okay though. But I'm gonna do a little vlog. I'm gonna walk around here. Gonna take you on a tour of Cook's Lake and tell you some of the spots that I've fished at. Right now I'm in the corner. This is the lower corner, shack side corner, over on the dam. I've caught some good fish out of this corner. My last, the 30 that I caught, a 30.6. Right, focus, right over there, right there, on the dam. This is where I was throwing when I caught it. It was 30.6. Caught a 25.5 here with my nanny one day. When I was a kid, I don't know, I was probably about 16, 17. My nanny was fishing with me that day. Caught a 25.5. Let's take you for a walk. Right here's the runoff for the water. Runs down into the creek. There's a little drop, there's a little pond, and I swear there's carp in there. It's a little deep hole down in there, so I'm sure there's probably a carp in there, or 2, 3, I don't know. But this is the dam. Walking across. Back in the day, they used to fish on the dam. I believe there was 3 spots from what I've understood from what Wayne has told me. There's like 3 spots on the dam that they used to fish, and that was his favorite spots to fish, was on the dam. He said you didn't even need a chair over here. But that was back in the day. That was before my time. I never got to fish on the dam. It's never been fished to my recollection. Not that I've ever seen. I can't never remember anybody fishing it. But yeah, this is the dam. A lot of big fish been caught in this old pond over the years. Now it's coming to an end. The old saying is, all things must come to an end. Well, some things are going on. Miss Cook passing away a few years ago. Now things are changing, and some of the grandfather stuff is going away. So it's making it difficult. And I can understand why. And I can understand all the whys. And if this place could talk, man, what a story it would tell. In the 50s. This place opened in the 1950s. They dug it because it was a farm, and it kept getting flooded because all the creeks that would run in over there, it'd run in and flood the fields. So Mr. Cook, old man Cook, he dug it out and made a carp lake out of it. This was actually the second one. There's a little tiny carp pond up the road. I've never got to fish it either, but yeah. This is the backside corner. Good place to fish. Catch a lot of big fish. I've caught some 20s out of here. I've caught a catfish out of here this year. Caught a 30 even. Catfish out of here this year. Right over off the dam. Caught it. Caught some 20s. I don't remember. My biggest fish here is in the backside corner. I would guess it's probably a 20 even, I guess. I don't know. I'd have to do some research and development and find out, but I don't remember. Trying not to bust my tail over here. But that's the backside corner. This spot was known as the Roots. You fished right here. This is right beside the backside corner. Down here, this is the Roots. You're down in a hole, kind of. Never liked fishing here. You catch good fish. It was kind of neat to fish here, but wasn't ever one of my favorites. Don't never remember catching anything of remembrance from right here. But yeah, never fished there a whole lot, to be honest. Now let me see if I can get down through here without busting my tail. But right here, this spot really doesn't, yeah, I guess you just call it under the trees. I don't know. It wasn't nothing really. I'm straight across the lake from right here, kind of. But we're coming up on, recently, last few years, this has probably been my favorite spot to fish. And I'd be here right now if it wasn't raining. I've fished here quite a bunch over the past few years. If you've seen some of my videos, you've seen I've fished here quite a lot. And I'm kind of right across the lake from right here. I'm throwing kind of in the same general areas as I would, but not as, I don't throw it out as far over here because you don't have to. But it's not in the same holes, but it's close. It's in the same vicinity, I guess, if you wanted to call it. But this is what was called the Stump Hole. Used to be a big stump right there. And this was a very popular hole on Cooks Lake. Man, I've caught 320s in one day here. Big 20s. I've caught some good fish here in just the past few years. I mean, it wasn't nothing to catch a 20 or bigger in this hole. We're going on up the lake. These was all good spots to fish. I remember some good fishermen fishing these spots right here, right through here. You'd have to watch out for them trees overhead, but you didn't have to. The thing about fishing over here on this side of the lake, you didn't have to throw far. You could throw just right out there where you can see that tree line in the water. I mean, if that gives you any perspective, you throw right where that tree line is, when you see it in the water, you're gonna catch good fish out there. You didn't have to throw far. This was definitely the side you wanted to be on if you couldn't throw far, if that makes any sense. This spot right here, and this is slicker than owl crap over here, but this was the point. This used to be called the point, and I'll always remember this as the point. There used to be a pretty big point out there that we used to fish off of, and that's why it was called the point. It was a really good hole. Don't know biggest fish I've caught there. Didn't fish there a lot, but I did fish to the what I'm gonna call the left of the point. I fished here a lot. I caught some good fish here. My buddy and I fished here one time. He was fishing in front of that shed, and I was actually up there in the next hole I'm about to talk about, and hadn't seen a bite all night. And moved down here about 11 o'clock. I got right beside him down here. I didn't get all 3 rods thrown out and already had caught one. That particular night, it ended up being a good night. I caught a 25-4. A 16 jug, a 12 jug. It was a good night. I caught a bunch of fish when I moved down here. That was the best move I've ever made. I do believe that was the best move I ever made. And he wasn't catching a lot of fish down here that night, but I didn't see a wiggle we used to fish from 8 to 6, 8 at night to 6 in the morning. And I hadn't seen a darn wiggle, nothing up there. And he taught me to move down here. That was the best talking, listening I ever done. But yeah, it was right there, and like I said, you didn't have to throw far. You throw right, you could throw in the middle, but I always caught my better fish closer in over here, because it's generally deep right out in here. This is definitely the deepest part of the lake, is this area from right where I was at down there at that stump hole all the way through here is all deep water. It's pretty good size. It's probably about 9, it might be 10 foot deep some places, but yeah, gonna miss this old place. I mean, it's gonna be one thing I said the other day when it was announced on Facebook that it was closing down. One thing I shared the post, and I said, one thing about it, you can't take my memories. The memories will never fade from these grounds. I've had some good ones. I've been coming down here since I was knee high to a grasshopper. This spot right here is the dip. Used to be a lot more of a dip through here. It's still kind of a dip. You can see it kind of dips down and goes back up. But this was my first 20. I caught my first 20 in this hole. It was in 94. I think it was, I can't remember the exact date. I think it was May 21st of 1994. That was my first 20 that night. I caught it. And I can remember exactly. I was throwing right towards, if you can see where the tree is, I was throwing right toward it on that rod. And yeah, that's the one I weighed 21.6. Didn't even win. I won, I think I got third place that night with that fish. Yeah, big fish was biting that night. Big fish. To win, I got third place for 21.6, my first 20. Around through here, this is the bend. This spot was always known as the bend because it kind of bends around. Kind of a hard place to fish. It used to, before the lake kind of went to Fun Lake. You could fish here. I mean, we kept it kind of scrolled back so you could fish here. Good place to fish. I caught for Eddie Bryson. Him and his mom Myrtle were packing up, and this spot right here, he had a set of rods and caught a 57-pound catfish. And he was packing up, and I kept telling him he was getting a bite on one of them. He said, well, I ain't worried about it, blah, 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 blah. I said, well, I'm gonna catch that big catfish for you. Story is to that one, he had that big catfish on the week before, and it came off. And I kept telling him all night, I said, I'm gonna catch that big catfish for you. We're gonna get it. Because I was fishing up there in between them. I was in the dip, well, where the road comes down. But sure enough, I looked down here and I watched it. It popped the cork up on top of the rod and it took off. I went down here and stuck it. I knew exactly what it was when I stuck it, man. Dead weight and pulling. It took me about 25 minutes to get that fish in. But both hooks was in the mouth of that catfish. Used to, those flatheads would get snagged a lot down here. They'd get snagged in the fin or something like that, but that one was both hooks in the mouth. He used to use those big old two wide bends. 2 alt wide bends. Yeah, both them big old hooks was in the mouth. 57-pound catfish. I got the picture. Memories, see, like I said, Polaroids. She used to take Polaroids, Miss Cook and Eileen. Used to have it on there. This is one of my favorite spots. This is, almost bypassed one of them. This was called The Rock. I don't know if you can see it or not. I'm trying to find him. He fell in. I'm making a magenta. There it is. That big rock sitting right there. I don't know if it's going to show up real good on camera. There's a rock right there in the water. That big rock used to be on the bank right here, and it fell in. It used to be called The Rock. I used to caught some big catfish right. I caught for Ricky McCurry right here in this spot right one night. He was fishing right here and I was fishing down there again. And he had a blowout on one of his rods. And I hollered down there to him. He was talking, smoking his dope. It's what they all did down here during the nighttime. And hollered down there and said, he said, just bait it up. I said, okay. So I baited it up and I threw it back out in my spots right there. And that thing didn't lay out there 10 minutes. Catfish, bam, smacked it. And that's when she counted the catfish. And they was big catfish. That one again, that night, that one weighed 50.4. I didn't wind it all the way in. I stuck it and started getting it in, and Ricky come up here and I gave it to him, and he got it in the rest of the way, both hooks in the mouth. And that was on black pack. I remember, because he used to make some good black pack. And he caught that one, both hooks in the mouth. I netted it right there. Weighed 50.4. Got a picture of that somewhere, I think. I don't remember. This is where the road comes down. The road comes out of the woods right there. That's what Eileen always called this, was where the road comes down. Really good spot. My daddy's good friend, Junior. Used to be one of his favorite spots right here. Right there. I love fishing right here. This was one of my favorite spots. Throwing right there off the bank. You can throw around these banks right here. Them fish come up in here. And caught one of my 30s here. 30. It was a 33.6. Yeah, no, 33.8. $33.8, and right here one night, I was throwing right out in there, not too far, just a little toss with all you'd have to do over here, and man, they sucked that night. Boy, them fish wouldn't bite for nothing, and I caught that in the last hour. That, like I said, that was when we fished all night. It was from 8 to 6, so that was 33.8. Good fish. Yeah, love it. Where the road comes down. Coming up through here. The old Holbrook used to fish right here a lot off his high bank. He used to like fishing here because, like in here, this is a very rocky area. Very rocky. It's you got to watch out when you throw around here because you're gonna get hung. Yeah. Now we're going up to the spot where I caught my biggest fish ever, biggest carp ever. And it was a 35.8. Just a common carp, regular old carp. This is a rock hole. Big old rock hole. Big rock hole. Yep. I caught it on my left rod. And let me see if I can see it from here now. There's a bunch of bush and shrubbery in the way. It might not show up too well. Yeah, I can see it. Let's see if it'll focus in here. There's a rock right there in the water. Well, I'll scan back. I caught that 35.8 right there. Right behind, I just took it and tossed it out there and put it right behind that rock. And that's where I caught that 35.8. Right there. Good hole. Like to fish in here. This is a good place. The rock hole. Not a lot of people could fish up in here and do it good. They just didn't know how. There were several good fishermen that tried fishing up in here, but if you just ain't got the patience for up in here, you wasn't gonna do too good. There used to be 2 trees right here. This was called in between the trees. There's one tree still standing. That tree right there broke off a few years ago, but I fished down in here a lot. It's a big old dip down in there. It's nice. I've caught some good fish in here. Caught some real good fish in here. Sure did. In between the trees. I caught some, I don't think I've ever caught a 20 out of there between those. Not fishing there. But I did catch, I had 2 rods down there one night, and I took one and put it up here and just had it right up under, you can see where them pipes, the water used to really come out of them pipes real good. And I had one stand up here, snuck it up here, and just literally, these bushes wasn't here, of course, but I threw it right up. I was just tossing it right off the bank right here. Just laid it in there, basically, just bloop. And I caught a 20.8 out of there. That night, right off the bank right there. Yep, a lot of things have changed though. I mean, it's just become basically a private lake, and now it's going to really be a private lake. It's no commercialized, no nothing. But this used to be a big pond. This was a little catfish pond. If you look around through there, there's the banks. When I was little bitty thing, that was a catfish pond. And then walking back around, you can see this right here, they had to change it a few years ago because of some damage. And it's caused a mighty big sandbar to start because they had to put this pipe in there. But that creek's always flooding here. That's one of the reasons that they had to dig this lake, was because of the flooding that would happen to the fields. But you can see the water running down. And water always has ran down this right through here pretty good. When it rains, it pours. Most definitely. Walk across the old plank. This used to be before all the overgrowth and the sandbar. This was the shack side corner. Shallow corner. Used to be a good spot to fish. Used to catch a lot of good fish in here. Back in the day. Back in the day. Keep saying that, don't I? But things are meant to change, right? It'll be all right. Going to one of my favorite spots. I know it's my daddy's favorite spot on the lake, right here behind the shack. This was his favorite spot to fish. It's where he caught his biggest carp at. Right here. You're throwing right there, right toward the rock hole. That's where he caught his biggest fish at, was throwing toward that rock hole. He was right here one night and he was throwing right toward that rock hole. And he caught a 35 even. Old common carp. Yep. Old man's hole. And going down through here some more. This is at the pole. That old pole's been there, and I don't know if I ever gotten a reason for that pole's there, but it's been there since I've been alive. But I'm gonna fish at the pole. That's where you'd fish. You'd always throw toward where the road comes down. Eileen told me that when I was a young kid. Youngin'. She told me that went to where the road comes down. That's where it started. You knew how to throw over here. Over here, you throw toward the left a little bit. Over there, you throw toward the left again. Like if you was at where the road comes down, you threw over here. You wouldn't throw, because if you look the way the bank is made, If you throw them by the way the bank's made, you throw all the way down the lake, and that's what everybody did. They did it because nobody knew how to fish the banks. But going on down the pole, the old fire hydrant right there. There used to be a shed right there where old fire hydrant was. I never fished where the fire hydrant was, but I did when I was a kid. I liked fishing right here because that shed was right there, and I like fishing right here, right to the left of it, and I could throw over there. I caught some good fish. I was here one day on a Sunday, and man, it was a hell of a storm. A guy named Leonard was fishing down there. We was under the shed. It was much bigger back then, but we was under the shed, and man, it was thunder, lightning, hurricanes. I mean, well, not hurricanes, but tornadoes, all kind. Man, it was bad. It was bad out here. And I looked down here because I was fishing right here. And I looked down here. I told Leonard, I said, Leonard, I got to run down there. He said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It'll be all right. And I said, okay, I ain't gonna go. I ain't gonna mess with it. It slacked up rain, and it was just a drizzle, a little bit heavier than it is right now. I went down there, and my right rod was out of the front of the stand, just laying there, because I got them cups, and it was just laying there. So I picked it up and wound it up, and there was a fish that had came all the way in. It was right there, and I started winding my line up, and that fish was on my line, but the fish was just sitting there swimming. So I wound it up, got slack out of it, started reeling it in, and I got down here and looked, and it was a big old buffalo. There was a guy fishing beside me. I actually got his net because my net was too far away from me. I got his net, netted the fish, and it was a big buffalo carp that had been on my line, and that's what was running when I seen it. I knew it was running. There wasn't nothing I could do about it though. It was too bad. It was bad. I'm telling you, you couldn't. It was raining bad, and I can remember Daddy yelling at me, "Get out of the rain," when I was down here getting it in. I was a stupid idiot, but I got it in. Went up there and weighed it. Weighed 30.6. And it didn't swim off. I guess it had exhausted itself when it was on my line, and it never swam off. So Mrs. Cook's rules was, if it doesn't swim off, it doesn't count. So it didn't get counted. Tried everything, man. I was ankle deep in the damn water out there trying to get that fish to revive itself and get it to swim off. Not just so much so I could get the prize, the win out of it, but just I wanted the fish to live. It was a big old fish, but it did die. I guess it had exhausted itself, from what I understand. But we're getting up to our next nice spot. I kind of bypassed that spot right there. Daddy used to like fishing right there a lot when I was little. That was I guess I'll go back to that spot. I need to tell a story about that. Right here on this bank, these sheds wasn't here. There was a shed right up there. There was a 4-post shed that was right here. The first carp that I ever caught was right here on my catfish pole. Me and Crystal, the lady that owns the lake now, Miss Cook's granddaughter, we were fishing here, catfishing, and I caught a carp. And Daddy was fishing actually up there at the pole, and he come down here and netted it. It weighed 2 pounds 2 ounces. That's when Miss Cook had ounce scales. She didn't have the digital scales yet. It weighed 2 pounds 2 ounces. My first carp. My daddy's got the picture somewhere. I don't know where it's at. But we was me and Crystal was fishing right here. And after all that excitement and yoo-hoo and yahoo, we got back down here, and I took my rod and baited it back up. I just used whole kernel corn. I baited my rod back up, threw it back out there. Guess what I did? I laid my rod back on the ground because she had something going on with her rod and reel. We was trying to figure it out, get it fixed. I wasn't paying attention. Next thing I know, splish. There goes my rod. It went diving into the water, and there wasn't nothing I could do about it. And I was crying. I can remember it, man. I wasn't but like 6, maybe 6 at the most, 7, probably not. No, yeah, I don't know. I was young, and man, I went up there to Daddy crying, like I said. Dang, rod got jerked in, and I was so mad. I did get it back the next week though. Mark Joy caught it in the rock hole over there. It had a 10-pound, 6-ounce carp on it. That's what drug it in. 10-pound, 6-ounce carp. Drug it in over there. And yeah, good times. But here we are at the next favorite hole. The tree. This is to the right of the tree. Right here. There's the left of the tree. This is a good spot to fish. I had some good days fishing here for sure. Me and Nanny used to fish here a lot. When I was little, Nanny would bring me down here. We liked fishing here because you had shade and it felt good and everything. But yeah, it's a good spot. Daddy likes fishing here. It's a good spot to fish. I don't really have any, best fish I've caught in this particular spot is probably some teenagers. Daddy's caught some 20s here, but I don't think I ever really did. I've caught a lot of fish, a lot of good fish, but nothing that's really memorable, if that's to say. But I have down here at the left of the tree. But you got the shed. And you got the down here, and this is the left of the tree. And I have got some good memories of this spot. This was yeah, one of my favorite places. Right there is the old tree. And used to fish right here. You throw straight across. You'd like this little point right here. It was way further out, used to, because the bank's kind of eroded. But I always took my middle rod and threw it right there toward that shed. The one that's on the bank over there, I throw it right toward that shed, the middle rod. My right rod, yes, I would cheat a little bit and throw up the bank a little bit. You remember how I said we throw left? Well, I'd always take my right rod, I call it the buffalo hole. Okay? There's a little tree right over on that bank. Let me see if I can find it. That tree right there in the middle of the frame. Right, my fingers are gonna, that one right there. See it? Throw right toward that tree right there. But I didn't throw far. I just threw a little bit past where you can see that tree line at. Okay, I'm standing right there on the bank, so I'm looking at it. If you see right there where that tree line is, I would throw just a little tad further than that, and right toward that little tree, and I call it the buffalo hole. The reason I call it the buffalo hole is I caught a 26.5 buffalo out of that hole one day. It was so windy that day. Me and Junior was down here fishing, Daddy's best friend, and we was fishing. He was actually fishing up there, and I was fishing right here. And man, it was so windy that day. It wasn't cold, it was just windy. It was windy. And we was fishing here, and you couldn't tell if you was getting a bite or not. They wasn't no way of telling you if you was getting a bite or not. And well, lo and behold, I went down there. I was going to bait up. I grabbed that right rod, and I always give it a little jerk, you know, when I'm baiting up. Sure enough, I jerked that thing. That fish about jerked that rod out of my hand. It was a buffalo. It jumped out of the water like a damn bass out there, went back down, and it was on. Son, that buffalo took off straight up the lake, and he was gone. There wasn't nothing I could do to stop that fish. And we walked up to there and got that fish in. Junior, I can't remember if we had a long handle net or if we didn't. Something, I can't remember. But Ray Harris held Junior's belt loop on his shorts when I got that fish in and netted it. He was holding him by the belt loops. Junior was stretching out there so far to get that fish in, and we got it in. It was 26.5 buffalo, and that was the prettiest fish I've probably ever caught. It was I guess it had gotten a tan. The top of that buffalo was dark, a real dark blackish look, and as it faded down toward its belly, it got whiter and whiter, and in the middle it looked like purple. And it had big old black eyes. Big old fish, man. Mean. That fish was mean, boy. Good times. But I've always called that the buffalo hole. I still throw one there every time I fish here. I caught some fish there last week. When me and Wayne fished here last week, this is where I was at. I always throw one there in the buffalo hole. Always. Going on down, Wayne says, I can remember him too. Oscar Hart, which is Wayne's uncle. Used to fish right here a lot. This used to be one of his spots where he loved to fish, and he didn't throw far, but when he did, he did damage. But this was, from what Wayne told me, Oscar's one of his favorite spots to fish was right here, just right down from the left of the tree, just a little bit further down the lake. Oscar Hart was good fishing. He'd sit out here in 100-degree weather and coveralls. Crazy. I like fishing, but I ain't liking no dang. I don't like getting roasted. This hole used to be called the high shed. There used to be a shed there. It ain't there no more. As you can see, it's gone. But this is the high shed. It used to be the high shed. This is a good spot to fish. You could this is one spot on the lake you could just about be guaranteed to catch a lot of fish at. If you could throw out there in the middle, a little bit past the middle, you was gonna catch some fish. I mean, that's just how it is. You're gonna catch fish right here. It wasn't really one of my favorite spots. I don't really remember it too well, ever doing anything productive here. I fished here a few times maybe. This is the back down right here. Reason it's called the back down. People would back their trucks in right here. You could back in right there's the road, and you could back your truck in right here. It was called the back down. Back in, and then you'd have right here, and you chunk them things as far as you could throw. And if you did that, you was probably gonna catch some fish. But anyway, well, that's gonna do it for our tour of Cook's Lake. We're back at the homestead for the day, trying to catch a carp. Nothing's happening so far. They're probably shell shocked or something. Hell, I don't know. The weather's, you can always blame it on the weather, right? If you ain't catching no fish. But we're gonna try. We're gonna be here until 5 o'clock or so, and we're gonna try to catch some fish. They might turn on here in a minute, but if they don't, they don't. It ain't the first time. Hopefully I'll catch one. Anyway, I hope y'all have a great one. Hope you've enjoyed the tour of Cook's. And like I said, all things must come to an end. And you know, it's sad but true. Anyway, y'all have a good one. God bless you. And this ain't the end for carp fishing. We'll find something. We'll find somewhere. We'll do some fishing somehow, some way. But it won't be the same. I can't. It's in my blood down here. I mean, this lake is part of me. It just is. I kind of say I'm the only one down here. I wouldn't have it any other way. Anyway, y'all have a good one. God bless you.
o'clock. 5 o'clock. All prices are now off. Lake is now closed.